There was a man who lived in a country that was torn by war. Lots of his relatives were killed and he knew he couldn't stay there any longer. It wasn't safe. He closed the door in his house, leaving behind everything he owned, taking only the clothes he stood up in and a bit of money for the journey. And as he left his house, he bent down and he picked up a stone. He would carry this stone with him to remind him of home. And what a journey he had. A long and difficult journey. Every time when he got sad, he took that stone from his pocket and pressed it against his heart, and it reminded him of happy times he'd had at home. The journey got worse and worse. He came upon people who took all the money he had to make him cross a big ocean. And everywhere he went on the other side, people said, no, you can't stay here. Move on, move along. No room for you here. And finally he came to a beautiful green land. And he thought, this is a place I could be happy. But he was hungry. He took his stone, he pressed it to his heart, and he thought good thoughts. And they went and knocked on the door. A young woman came with 2 children. He said, could you spare some food? She said, I'm really sorry. There's barely enough for the children and me. I'm sorry. The next house he went to was an older couple who said, go away. Haven't enough for ourselves, let alone strangers. Move along. And that's the response he got as he went from house to house. He was very sad. He was hungry. And then he thought of an idea. He found an old pot and he filled it with some water, fresh spring water. He made a fire and he set the pot in the fire, and he took his precious stone, held it against his chest and put it into the pot. And the water started bubbling, and 2 children came along. He said, what are you doing? I'm making soup. Soup? What sort of soup? It's called stone soup. My mummy always uses onions when she's making soup. I said, I don't have any onions. Oh, wait. We have plenty at home. Daddy grows them. I'll bring you one. So the little girl came back with an onion which she chopped and put in the pot. A boy said, my mummy puts carrots in her soup. I said, I haven't got any carrots. Oh, we have some left over. I'll bring you some. Carrots went into the pot. Other children came with leeks, and finally the soup was thickening and bubbling. And he said to the children, go home. Tell your parents where you are. Bring bowls that we can share this soup. When the children went away, he scooped out that stone, dried it off, held it to his chest. And soon families came curious, and he started ladling out the soup, which by this stage was smelling pretty good. And of course we asked him about his story. Oh, he told them about the journey he'd had to get there. He told them about leaving his home. He told them about the family that he would never see again, the ones that were killed in the conflict. And the people looked at each other and said, why don't you stay here? He said, but I've already asked people and they say there's not enough food to share with me. And the leader of the village said, well, you know, no one of us has enough, but if we share together, there'll be enough for all of us. And so the man stayed there. He still kept his stone in his pocket. Whenever he got sad, he held it to his heart to remind him of home, because he'd found a new home now. This is a story that comes from America. A long time ago, in the forests of North America, there was a strange-looking animal. He had long white fur, from the tip of his nose to the tip of his tail. And as he walked along, he'd say, I'm so beautiful, I'm so gorgeous. The other animals couldn't stand him. But one day, as he was walking through the forest, looking for something to eat, he saw a mother owl fly out of her nest, and he thought, there'll be food there. So he climbed up the tree, and sure enough, in the nest were 3 baby owls. He reached in his paw, he lifted one out, and he said, ugh, you are so ugly. I am so beautiful. I wouldn't even eat you. Dropped it back. Climbed down the tree and went on his way. But when the mother owl came in, flying in with her mouth all full of lovely tasty grubs and worms, she heard her babies crying. What's wrong? She said to her chicks. Stop crying, tell mommy what's wrong. And the animal came and he said we were ugly. She said, no, you're not ugly. You're beautiful. Who said that to you? An animal with white fur. Right, she said. You eat up your grubs and worms. I think I know who that is. Mummy has to go a message. Well, have you ever seen a really cross mummy? Have you ever seen a mummy where somebody said something about one of her children? Well, this mother owl was really furious. She dived bombed, flew down, and sure enough, she saw that creature. She thought, what am I going to do with you? She picked him up and she shook him, and owls have got great long talons. She thought, what could I do? And there was a place where there'd been an old bonfire in the forest, and all the ashes were all black and still hot. She pulled him through the ashes one way, she turned him over, she pulled him through it the other way, and she dropped him in a pond. Shh. And when he came out, you should have seen him. From the tip of his nose on this side to the tip of his tail, his fur was all singed black in colour. From the tip of his nose to the tip of his tail on this side, the fur was all singed black in colour. And the only bit of white was a stripe going up the middle of his back. Ever since then, the animal's been called a skunk. And the thing most people know about a skunk is, oh, they stink. And that's the smell of the burnt fur as he passed through the fire. And that's the story of how the skunk got its smell, or Mother Owl's revenge. One of my favourites.